what's the word, your man? Slap shot, your man. And I have my OGs, my guy, my man Jigsaw, Chuck. How you doing, man?
Good, man. How you?
I can't complain, man. So for those who do not know, you are the co-founder of allhiphop.com.
Yes.
But you do a whole lot of other things. Can you like just give people the rundown from of Chuck Creekmur?
Yeah, man. I do all hip hop. Obviously, that's the one thing I've done the most consistent through my life. But I'm a father. I'm a comic book head. I'm a boxing enthusiast. Um, Political thing. A little bit of activism in there. Um, yeah, man. A little bit of everything. I like to work out and run. Lift a few weights. I haven't been doing that, but I bought some stuff for the crib because it's gonna be a long winter. So I hope everybody's getting ready for that because
Yeah, earlier.
by
That's a
8 o'clock it feels like midnight to me. You know what I mean?
fact.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty much, man. Most people don't realize how deep I go with hip hop because whatever, just time passing or whatever. But I used to be a DJ. I used to bust a rhyme. Um, I used to, do programming, if you will. You know what I mean? I used to bring groups to my college back in the day. All that stuff. So I do a lot of bit of everything. I did a little quiz yesterday with somebody. They were trying to throw lyrics at me. I was like, come on, this is too easy. Let's do it.
Oh, all right.
That's it, man. To ramble on. I'm sorry. It's just it's been a long few days, so I'm just
Mhm.
you know
That's
yeah.
okay. So, all right then. One thing that I've noticed since like I'm also a part of the site is you guys like up to the election, leading up to the election, you guys had a lot of political in charge interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, what led to that? What made you feel like you had to like step out of the realm of hip hop a little bit and move into politics a little bit for the site?
Well, it's nothing new for us. We've been doing this for a while. We haven't done it as we have in the past because to me it wasn't a need. I think there's always a need, but it wasn't as pressing. With Trump, for one, it kind of just wasn't what it was. What it was. When, say, for example, when Obama was in office, we were heavy with it. Not only just supporting Obama, but it was very like you know, balanced and whatever. It wasn't just like caping for anybody in particular, but it was really just going hard for what's in the best interest of Black people. And yeah, and that's it. So for this election, we went hard because it was necessary. It was absolutely necessary. There's no question as to what we had to do, but it wasn't out of character, and I think we were fair. We interviewed people like Carl Dix. We interviewed people like my man Boyce Watkins, who's a friend who I don't necessarily agree with. And we like to we put a lot out there for people to take and digest what they feel, and I obviously have my view too. So that was there as well.
Okay, so what about what to you like made it like extremely necessary this time around to be to make sure that your foot was your hat was in the ring?
Yeah, because see, like I'm sure we'll get into to various opinions, but as far as I'm concerned, it was extremely important for our. See, I think 7 generations in the future. You know what I'm saying? I think 1,000 years down the line. I don't think of the next 4 years or even the next 40 years. I think bare minimum 7 generations in the future. And when you start talking about 7 generations and you start talking about where we are now, these seeds being planted, I just feel very strongly that Donald Trump was planting seeds that are going to bear some really rotten fruit. And those fruit don't just die, they continue to replicate themselves and normalize stuff that just isn't normal. Now, if you don't have any historical context or you don't understand the rise of fascism or, whatever you want to call it, then you may just think that, oh, this is just business as usual. He's the same as the other guy and blah, blah, blah. And who cares? My life didn't change. But actually, our lives did change over the last 4 years, really. And it really didn't start there, but it got worse there. And so for me, it was important to really take a stand, offer people a voice that had different opinions, but to take a political stance. And that's what news organizations do. They take a stance based on what they feel. So all the any publication or media outlet of note takes a stand, and we do that too.
Got you. That
Mhm.
so we was talking about a little bit before. Issue. I think a lot of people were having like, and I mean like to me, like I was trying to figure out. I was kind of like with kind of like what Boyce was saying a little bit more. I think I had like before the election, I kind of like I reread the autobiography of Malcolm X because I thought like a lot of like the political views. It was just so weird how 60 years later, like wow, these things are like still exactly true. Like what he's saying about like the Lyndon B. Johnson election.
Mhm.
When he ran after Kennedy's death.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I was trying. So it kind of I kind of was like jaded towards like both sides, so that's where I was at with it, but I seen but it was definitely like a big push to like we have to get rid of like the greater evil and
Mhm.
all of these kind of the greater evil. And I think you touched it in a little bit, like you felt like it was building towards like a little bit of like fascism and stuff like that, which I didn't even think about until you said it. But what the normalizing of it and stuff like that, to me, like at first I was believing like, okay, well maybe like it exposes it and it makes us look like we weren't crazy, because I remember there was a time when black people would tell you, oh nah, racism is still here, and people would look at you like you were bugging, like like you're complaining all the time. I think Trump just made it obvious, like,
Mhm.
look, boom, I don't have to say anything, he's doing it for us. And
Yeah.
so I was cool with it on that level. But
Right.
like you're saying, like it was building towards like fascism and things like that. Can you like explain it and how it could happen in a country like America, the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Yeah. Well, look, it's that's a lot. Well, I'll say I'll start. Let's start like back in the 60s. Let's just go back a little bit. If you remember back in the 60s when racism was on a whole nother level, where we are right now closely resembles that, in that you have a segment of the population that is extremely outwardly violently racist. You know what I'm saying? They are, you know, convening at rallies. They have, states that are open and carry. You have situations where, all over the place, Black people are really dying violently. People are getting hung. There's a kid who was murdered recently that very much resembled Emmett Till. You have and also something that we have to note in this context is that George Floyd kind of was a game changer. He was killed in such a brazen way, and it was in a way where everybody was forced to look at it. So we didn't have you couldn't get away from it from your phones. You couldn't change the channel. You were in the house. Every aspect of that, people were forced to look at that and forced to make a determination that we have gone too far. Now, when someone like Trump minimizes that, I don't really know what he said specifically about George Floyd, but just overall, these cases have been just getting worse and worse and worse. So there's a segment of white America that's racist, but they're just like, yo, not we've gone too far. Look, do you see this? You know what I'm saying? So back in the 60s, they were just hosing people, sicking dogs on Black people. And those white people were racist too, but they were like, okay, hold up. This is, I can't, my heart or my soul or whatever can't rock with that. Doesn't mean they're not racist. It just means that they have like some kind of morality that's not cool with that. And so um and so for me, that's kind of where we are right now, in a space where um if you want to just say for cliche's sake, the lesser of two evils, it's a difference, man. I mean, I'm like I'm losing my trail from the initial question, but it's just different, man. And Boyce, um, he has, I actually don't really fully disagree with people like Boyce because I'm a black business owner, 20 years and running. My contributions to the culture are in stone. My contributions to black people is solid, and my personal contributions are very solid too. And so from that vantage point, I understand a lot of what Boyce is saying. But what we have to understand is that everybody is built differently. Everybody's coming along at a different rate. And everybody has a role. So if you have somebody that's literally working in the courts or working as a police officer or working as a judge or a lawyer or a person that's inside the infrastructure or institutions that we proclaim are saturated with racism and institutionalized racism, a lot of times those people can be helpful to our cause, and so so I don't know if I answered your question, but that's kind of how I feel about it. Okay. In general, if I'm answering your question.
No, I did. I think for the most part you did. I just I was just saying. So is just getting Trump out of office, is that the win, or do we expect more once we have the president elect and the vice president elect are in office? Do we need more?
No, that's not the win. That is a win. Come on, dog. This is war. This is not a battle. You know what I'm saying? So this is a war. So this is not a battle. If you look at this as a battle and you celebrate, I mean, if you're in the middle of a war, do you sit and pop bottles when you win a single battle? Nah, you don't chill, you don't stop. And nobody I know has stopped. Nobody I know. We all said collectively, yo, we're gonna take a day and chill. Some people like the next day, I'm on there, I am on that. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, bro, I'm gonna take Monday. Can I have till Monday? Can I have till Monday? I was like, cool. Yesterday I didn't do no work. I sat out in nature. I took a picture. You know what I'm saying? Smiling. You can. That is perfectly okay. So no, defeating Trump is not the win. You see me. I've always stressed institutional racism, systems of oppression. All of those things are what we're trying to really fight. And not for nothing, beyond even that, we're fighting for Black power. It's just that simple. Now, people try to stigmatize Black power like it sounds like it's some crazy radical notion, but it's not. It's just, you just figure it out. Our communities, our voices, our dollars, all of that. I took my daughter to the daggone beauty shop yesterday, and I'm livid, dog. I'm just mad. You got people dang almost coming out the door. And there's no Black ownership in, say, the Black beauty space, for example. There's literally no ownership. And if you try, from what I understand, they will block you from even entering in that market because we don't create those products. We don't. So even if you did build a store, you wouldn't be able to put anything in it because they wouldn't even sell to you. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand like how these things work, how other communities live off of our community, our dollar. So to go back to the question, no, Trump is not the win. Trump is a win in that we can now be a little bit easier now. Just a little bit, just a little bit easier now. And if you don't want to breathe easier, no, I mean, that's cool. No problem. Don't.
All right. So all right. So what you're saying, I mean, I wouldn't say it's in complete contrast, but it's a
Go
little
ahead.
less extreme than what like somebody like a Van Jones, like Van Jones actually got on TV yesterday and was crying
Bro,
about
bro,
it.
look, come on, man. I mean, look, real quick, um, and I know this is on the record,
Mhm,
but I'm gonna just say this: Van Jones and all those crocodile tears almost felt like he was acting.
mhm,
And if you look at his affiliations with Trump and the administration, there's pictures of him smiling in the White House. There's pictures of him with uh, Candace Owens. There's pictures of him with um, Trump's son. There's a lot of smoke there. So nah, I don't resonate. I'm not crying crocodile tears of joy
mhm.
because Trump is out. I'm not and yeah, nah. That's theater to me. That's theater.
When you said it, kind of reminded me of like when Jesse Jackson was crying for Obama after they caught him
No,
talking bad about him.
first black president's a little different. You know what I'm
Nah,
saying?
no, no. But remember, they caught Jesse Jackson talking crazy about him on a
Yeah,
hot mic,
right,
and
right, right.
then he got caught crying for him. So I was like, yeah.
I do think Jesse was genuine. I think that was a genuine moment though. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jesse might have been hating early on. He ran for president and he was like the heir apparent and it didn't happen for him.
Hmm.
So, who knows what Hillary Clinton really feels right now, but she's got to celebrate Kamala, you
Hmm.
know, and that's just what it is.
Got you. All right. So, even I think a lot of liberals were like obviously like the choice was Kamala and Joe Biden, but if you look at like their past records and stuff like that, it can be confused as very conservative, especially like
Mhm.
um whether it be the crime bill or Kamala's record on truancy, locking up parents for truancy,
Uh-huh.
or her stance on marijuana, even though she went on the Breakfast Club and she said she might have partaken in it herself, she had
Mhm.
a record of locking up people
Mhm.
for marijuana and things of that nature. Does that leave you a bit weary about what they might do in office? Like they might switch up a little bit?
Um yeah, yes and no. My views, see, so first of all, let me just address this. Um, Joe Biden is almost 80 years old. Um, and he's been a part of the system for a long time. Um, he wasn't the only part of the system. He's a cog. He's a small part of the system, if you really look at it, in my view. Now, he may be a large part of it to others, but to me, the system is the system. If you look at a car, you kind of don't blame a screw when the whole car breaks down. Like you kind of have to look at the whole car and figure out what's going wrong.
Mhm.
So some of the things that Joe Biden has said in the past, first of all, have been just straight edited and doctored or taken out of context, just straight like that. I mean, a lot of the stuff that has been said has been literally just kind of taken out of context. The crime bill, I'm not going to sit here and sort of go back and because I'm not even going to say I'm even qualified to do that. But I'll just say that one thing I know for sure is that he wasn't the only one that drafted that crime bill.
Mhm.
There were black politicians, white politicians, Republicans, Democrats. It was a whole system that made that happen. As far as Kamala is concerned, again, I'm not here to put her on trial or her past record. But one thing I can say for sure is if she's a prosecutor for the system, she's a prosecutor. People are put in those positions, and their job is to be the best they can be, in that space. That doesn't that does not excuse it, but I think that nowadays, right here, right now, um, with the pressure that they are on, they are going to be um, put to the fire, and everything that they've promised or everything that they put forward, it's up to us to hold them accountable right here and right now. And that's something we weren't going to get with Donald Trump or from the platinum plan or any other thing that people were trying to get out of him. I think it was you'd be better off banging your head against a brick wall and hoping it fell down than to get help from Donald Trump.
Mhm.
Now, if you did get help, some people got help, but again, from a moral standpoint and from a um, yeah, from a moral standpoint or what feels right or what is right, I just couldn't rock with that. So me and Boyce had a conversation. Me and Ti had a conversation. We like a lot of us have had conversations, and we're just like, "Yo, I did well this year. I didn't have a bad year. You know what I mean? Like I had a bad from a stress perspective. Just seeing George Floyd or just seeing murders or things of that sort. Yes, from a business standpoint, it's been a pretty good year. As a black-owned independent media outlet. But as a black man, it has not. I have a child, and I have to think about. I have a community that I have to think about. We have young kids where I'm from, Delaware, and kids are dying. Kids are doing crazy stuff in the suburbs now. You know what I'm saying? So and yeah, so that's that, man. At the end of the day, somebody had to be elected.
Mhm.
Someone.
Mhm.
It just couldn't be Trump.
I respect that. So I got a couple more, and then I'm gonna let you. I know you're a busy guy. Yo, so as far as this goes, does this now? I think we've definitely like gained a little bit as far as like a people like showing like our strength and what we can do, whether it be from the voting or whether it be like earlier in the year when we got George Floyd's murderers arrested and things like that. I think in some real unfortunate circumstances we definitely flexed a little bit
Yeah.
um, with our backs against the wall. um does this pacification, do you feel like um it'll go back to like status quo? Do you see the movement staying strong the way it is?
I don't know. For me, look, man, again, man, check my resume. I've never been any different than I am now.
Mhm.
A little more cool and trendy now. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying? It's a lot cool. It's much cooler and trendier now. But I can pull pictures from the 90s. I can pull writings from the 90s, and we didn't have a whole lot of video, but I got stuff. I got receipts for decades.
Mhm.
So what the people decide to do is another story. I will do my part, and I will do the best I can to encourage people to continue to be vigilant. But we already know what it turns into. Nine. Okay, I'm not gonna put a percentage on it, but a lot of people just want to go back to normal. No, we can't go back to normal because normal is just racism all over again.
Mhm.
Also, normal means that Trump is going to come back at some point in time, or someone like Trump.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So, nah, we're not trying to go back to normal. We're trying to go forward to equality. We're trying to go forward to being powerful. We already know what Black people are capable of, but we diminish that every single day we live, whether that's just playing basketball and rapping and not doing science, math, not educating our own kids, not creating a school. We got to create a record label. Well, why don't you create a school? Because we do things for the wrong reasons. And that's why activism and politicization of pop culture, or rather culture being politicized, is so popular now because you can get likes doing activism.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You can get a platform. You can get on TV. Like that's why stuff is so hot right now. You know what I'm saying? Not for the right reasons. And I'm not here to condemn anybody for using their quote unquote platform, but do it for the right reasons, man. Like if you only on Twitter and Instagram, what are you doing?
Mhm.
What are you really doing? Do you talk to a kid? Do you mentor a kid? Do you donate to political organizations that hold these politicians accountable? There's so much that people can do. So when you talk about most people are going to go back to normal, because most people are waiting for someone to save them. They are waiting for a politician to do right by them, and they're not. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, they aren't, but they are if you do right by yourself. You know what I'm saying?
No,
If
no,
that
I mean, no, because what you're saying is exactly what I feared with the whole voting thing. I think like people felt like that was the work. That was
no,
what
voting,
that's what irked me about it. People felt like it was the work. And I'm like, what you're saying is exactly how I felt like. No, that's just a part of it. That's a piece of it. You know, people was like, oh, we gotta vote, we gotta vote, we gotta vote. All right, then. So what's the plan afterwards? Because this whole it seems like now it's just a scramble to vote instead of like just becoming politically aware, putting together a plan, and then voting. So that,
voting. If you've ever seen a soldier, you know what I'm saying. I hate to keep using war references, but I've not recently, but I just used to read the 33 Strategies of War, the Art of War, you know, all these different books around that. But if you look at a soldier doesn't have like just like a handgun rushing into battle. You know, he has like automatic, the automatic, the gun might be the last thing he uses.
yeah,
You know,
assault
usually he's got
rifle, then he
a
got a knife, yeah, grenade.
gun, he got you got grenades, he got a knife right here. You know what I'm saying? He got like basically a bulletproof vest. He basically, he got everything under the sun on his actual body. And maybe at the end of the day, he might have that knife as a last resort or whatever.
Mm,
So voting can be a first thing or it can be a last thing. I mean, it's just one thing.
mm,
And if you look at that as just the only thing, then you crazy, And most people that say it doesn't matter are also people that don't do anything. There are also people that don't care about the violence in the community. And, so, I mean, yeah, man, voting is just one thing. And it's never been the only thing. And I mean, it's just that simple.
mm. Got you. All right then. So last question. I think I've seen a lot of people calling Ice Cube like a coon, and we talking about this the same guy who actually did arrest the president when Trump first got elected. You know, this is the same dude who had to say it like about 3, 4 times on No Vaseline. I'll never have dinner with the president. You
Mhm.
know, America's Most Wanted and stuff like that. I thought what he said was feasible and plausible, whether you agree with it or not. It didn't seem like he was selling
What
out
did you say?
black
What did you say?
about yo, I'm just trying to see who's willing to listen. I'm trying to do business with who's willing to listen. You get what I'm saying? I'm trying to do what's best for the community for who's ever willing to listen. I'm tired of being pacified. And that's how we ended up in this situation off jump. And he said he went to the Democrats first. You get what I'm saying? And I think like a lot of people thought like he just woke up one day and he was like he has a plan, which he didn't. He actually went to like certain scholars and things of that nature. Like this plan, like he had like the contract with black people was actually like thing like well thought out. It wasn't just him. He was just the face of it because he was willing to take the bullets.
Who did he go to?
He went to Claude, he went to Boyce, and
He
so
didn't go to
and
Voice didn't have anything to do with it.
Boyce said Boyce just said he did.
I interviewed him.
I'll show you the clip. Boyce definitely said like he reviewed it, but he said he went to Dr. Claude. He went to it was reviewed by Boyce.
It was
I
reviewed
forgot
by.
the activist's name in Ohio, but a couple of cats. It wasn't just him writing it himself.
Mhm.
And like I said, whether you agree with him going to Trump or not, I just don't like the fact that he's being like looked at as or defined as like what a little Wayne's boat. You understand what I'm saying? Is there any room for like black people to like work with conservatives if it's like a 50-50 relationship, or like the moment you do it's like you're Candace Owens, you got get out of my face.
Well, hold up, man. You started off with Ice Cube, and now you're saying, candid. You ended with working with conservatives. I mean,
Uh,
yeah, I get. Okay, so I get. I mean, wow, that was a lot. That was a lot.
okay, I'm off so like
First of
just to clarify, I'm just saying like can like I just want to explain like why I didn't think like he was necessarily just in the same boat as a Lil Pump or a Lil Wayne. Like it seemed like he's trying to just whoever is willing to grant black people these things is who he's rolling with. You get what I'm saying?
yeah. Well, first of all, man, I didn't. I wrote a full feature story on this very topic. Now, initially, my story was supposed to be exclusively about Ice Cube, right? But as a hip hop fan, And as a man, I didn't feel as though that was fair and not talk to Ice Cube, which I tried to do. Boyce was, supposedly sent a word in for me to talk to Cube.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing came back.
Okay.
I didn't sit around and wait to talk to Ice Cube. That being said, if you do your research, there's a lot of otherness behind this contract for Black America. So when you reference, and this is the problem with social media, and this is the problem with being emotional.
Mm-hmm.
What you feel is not necessarily what's true. So I did significant research and had significant sources in this article that I wrote. And it wasn't to lambast Cube, but or anyone for that matter, because he wasn't the only one in it. But it was just to say that everything you talk about is not the same. I mean, excuse me. Everything that we feel or everything that we see does not tell the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
So, perfect example is you mentioned Arrest the President.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Ice Cube, the rapper, went hard at Trump. But in that same exact year, Ice Cube and his company, the Big Three League, asked for Trump's help in a legal situation that they had overseas with a lawsuit. They had some investors from overseas, and those investors essentially welched on the money that they were supposed to give to fund the Big Three League.
Mm-hmm.
So they got into it with those guys, which are in, I can't name the country, but I don't want to say, but it's a brown country. I don't want to mischaracterize it right here and right now, but just to say that it's a brown country and they're rich, billionaire rich, a royal family basically.
Mm-hmm.
So Trump goes over there to meet with this family, and they take out they essentially threatened Ice Cube and his team, and they sent, they put out a full-page ad in the New York Times like, hey Trump, when you go over there to visit these folks, tell them not to threaten us, and tell them, something like, respect American athletes. Don't quote me, but it was something along those lines. So in one instance, Ice Cube needs Donald Trump's help.
Mm-hmm.
In the other instance, the rapper, so O'Shea is asking for Donald Trump's help. He was dissing him. You know what I'm saying? And so the sources that I have, which are close to Jared Kushner. So if you know anything, there's a man named Ken Kurson, 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 who is a Jewish white man who knew Ice Cube and who's good friends with Jared Kushner, who's Donald Trump's son-in-law, and he introduced Jared Kushner to Ice Cube. You know what I'm saying? So the sources that I have say Cube had a little sneak, a little situation, and basically, let's work on this Big Three thing. You know what I mean? So again,
so he might have had something to gain with
he
this
had, listen, man, rich people benefit under Trump. It's that simple. The elite and the very, very wealthy benefit under Trump. It's just, that's it. You know what I mean? And Biden's tax plan is very rough on rich people. You know what I mean? And my source could, it could be wrong. You know what I mean? Like, that's very possible. But there's enough. There's a lot, and this is what I did in my story. A lot of links, a lot of validation. Backing it up. It's not just my source. There's articles like Politico that back this up. You know what I mean? And everything that they told me came true after the fact. So,
I just want to get this right. So you was thinking, so this was a possibility, like you've heard about this like before the whole contract with Black people and all these kind of things? That's what you're saying?
Nah, not beforehand, but it just, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, it just didn't seem to make sense. Ice Cube comes alone by himself to the table with this contract for Black America by himself. That doesn't make sense, bro. Like, I love Ice Cube, man. That's a rapper that I have, kind of like in my top 5, you know what I mean? Theoretically, like he's not literally in my top 5, meaning there's too many to name, but he's in my top 5 influential artists on my life.
Yeah.
You know, on my life. So when he says I never sit down with the president, I'm like, I don't know if I want to sit down with Obama after this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you know what I mean? So don't get me confused and misconstrued as a hip hop fan, but as a person who thinks a little bit critically, I it didn't make sense for a rapper who essentially, made records, but was not really active in the process up until this point, step up to the table in this manner. Without, if I come to the table with a contract for Black America, I'm coming strong. I'm coming with Tamika Mallory. I'm coming with Cornel West. I'm coming with you might even bring Republicans to the table, conservative Republicans to the table, so that we have a very strong coalition of people, educators, scientists, even thinkers, activists on the street level. I mean, just literally everyone, and then we come to the table strong, not even come to the table, we bring the table to the table. You feel me? And so Ice Cube came with a very blurry coalition, which I don't know what that coalition looks like. I know Boyce did not help write the document at all. I talked to him, he told me, he reviewed it, and he made a suggestion.
Okay. Like I said, he said he reviewed it. I'm sorry. He said he went
over it, and he made a suggestion. The only other name I know is Claude Anderson and the brother who did the intro to it that perhaps contributed. So this is not to slight anybody, but yo, bro, when you do something like this, you have to have, everything has to be transparent. Your business dealings have to be, hey, by the way, y'all, I'm trying, look, I'm working. Trump could probably help me out here. And this is why I'm doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like 50 Cent was like probably the most honest person in all of this, right? Because he was just like, yo, he about to, I'm worth this amount of money, and he about to tax me 40% in New York City.
Yeah,
I'm not with
28 cents.
Yeah, like I'm actually very cool with that. Like at a very basic level, because you're being sort of honest about it. Lil Wayne, he been on something other than what we need to be talking about. Ice Cube is the one guy that has been so problematic to a lot of people because he was that guy who you felt was, Mr. F the police, Mr. Black, and then it just didn't feel right, man. So again, man, no disrespect to Cube. We should all be able to disagree. And furthermore, here in America, we should be able to build with whoever. But when Black bodies are on the line, when Black kids are facing, everything from human trafficking. I mean, there's like, dog. Where do I, where do I start? You know what I'm saying? So Black bodies on the ground level are being brutalized. Ice Cube's been a multimillionaire for decades, and we still walk on the street and have to deal with everything that we have to deal with. He's in a compound somewhere. You know what I mean? He literally just changed his background a week ago or something. So no shade to Cube, bro. I would actually love to build with Cube rather than have this conversation, because I think that's more valuable. But again, I don't talk to people like Donald Trump. We've tried over and over to build with that level of evil. Malcolm X in the KKK, Marcus Garvey in the KKK, many people in Richard Nixon. It doesn't work for us. It just doesn't work. Fundamentally, it doesn't work. And we've been here before with Nixon trying to, kind of like impose this capitalism on Black people that just only works for some of us. And I'm not even here to put capitalism on trial at all, right? But just to say that capitalism is basically rooted in some of us going up here and most of us being down here. And that's just the way it works. But
I discovered. I truly discovered that this year. This is the first year I think it hit me how much that is a true statement of because of COVID. Like before, like I was a firm believer in. I wouldn't say firm believer, but I believed in it for the most part. Capitalism. You know, you see all these rap videos and you feel like you can attain this type of wealth. You work hard enough
Yeah,
until COVID hit, and the people who are only good at making money couldn't make money. And then they started saying ridiculous things like, well, a few lives lost is worth it for the economy. And that's when I realized how deep this capitalism thing is, where money is worth way more than lives. It was like, oh, this is the game. This
yeah,
is the game we're playing here. And it just hit me. It really just hit me like in real life today. People have explained it to me, but you know, shit don't stink till you smell it, honestly.
yeah.
And then like when it hit me in practice, when people were telling you to go outside in the middle, deep in the middle of a pandemic, when people I have personally seen people like die from it, people telling you to go outside and it's like, let's make a little money here.
You have to, again, you have to look at people's motivations. You know, a lot of rappers flip-flops.
Mm,
You know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, they were against Trump, and now they suddenly for Trump.
mm,
You know, why is that? I can't personally speak to each and every one, but since you said it,
mm,
yeah, maybe it's very basic. I need to make money.
mm,
Trump's gonna let us come outside,
mm,
and I'm not gonna die. Maybe one or two of my fans will die, but they'll die after they buy that ticket to my concert, and I'm okay with that. And people are okay with that. So everybody's motivation is different, and you better believe that a lot of these rappers are starting to feel the pain of not being able to tour, not being able to do these shows, and any and everything else that they do. It's a hurt piece. So um again, I'm not like I'm cool, bro. I'm staying in my crib. I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? But everybody is not okay. And once we realize that everybody's motivations are relatively selfish, for the most part, everybody pretty much wants to make sure that their home is situated and their family is good. And once we understand that most people are selfish, then we'll have a better understanding of why things are, the way they are. You know,
I know I said I was asking, but I just this is like towards you like why has that never discouraged you from keep going? I mean, because that's a thing. Like people, if everybody else is selfish, well then fuck it. Why shouldn't I just be selfish? Why do you keep going as far as this activism kind of thing? Because you're thinking about all of us.
let me tell you something, brother. A lot of us are thinking differently. We like, look, these people do not care about us at all. I mean, we see, you plant your flag in the black community or in the hip hop community, and you wave that flag, and then you realize that your company, you see that there's a lot of support for Complex, a lot of support for Vlad, a lot of support for Fader, from black artists, black rappers, bypass you, hang up on your, live. And I'm not going to say who that artist was, but one artist who happens to be a Trump supporter hung up on my black female interviewer. And I was like, yo, bro, like that's wild, B. You know what I'm saying? And would you hang up on TMZ? Would you hang up on Complex? Would you hang up on Radio One? Would you hang up? Well, Radio One's black owned, so would you hang up on MS Hot 97? You know what I mean? So you
iHeartRadio.
gotta understand, man, that systemic racism works in many ways.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It undermines black it'll uplift black creatives to here, but it won't uplift black creators up to here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you uplifted black people the way you say you do, then you wouldn't have a problem doing interviews with all hip hop. Every black artist should do an interview with us, or you know what? Quite frankly, the Source, whoever, because we're both black owned,
Hmm.
and we're both literally like the last of the Mohicans out here, and we're definitely the last of the Mohicans that take this type of a stance. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like that black, white supremacy works that way too. They put a higher premium on those outlets who have no value, have no real value except for what we bring to them. You know what I'm saying? You know, when Complex got this massive infusion of money from Verizon, guess whose picture was on the Wall Street Journal, I believe. It was all hip hops. When Complex got an infusion of cash, it was all hip hop's screen grab of our site in that picture. And we had just left the network. We had literally just left the network. So we are valuable, but people think we're less valuable because white people say that they're more valuable. You know what I'm saying? Does this make sense to you?
No, this is why we ain't never have. This is why we can't build the BET Awards to be the Grammys. Like people, like I
Right.
remember the thing one year. Everybody was like, "Well, we gonna go to our own shows. The Oscars so white." And you know, like the moment and everybody's on edge the moment the Grammy nominations come out again. You get what I'm saying? I
Exactly.
remember, yeah. So I completely get it. I mean, I just think I'm just hearing it from your point of view, and you know, because you're somebody who's actually started one and who's been in the mud, and you've actually raised something that should be at a level of a TMZ in our community, but it's not. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. So I try, my friend, I know a lot of people, man, and I was talking to somebody who's a doctor
Mm,
who owned their own practice in the hood.
mm,
Uh, I won't say what specific hood, but I'll just say in the hood, literally in the hood, black people everywhere,
mm,
and ultimately they had to leave, and they shut their doors.
mm,
And the problem is, black people treat black people different than they treat white people.
mm,
So she cited this one specific instance where a black woman wanted her to open the practice half hour early.
mm,
What what doctor you can go to and say, "Yo, can you open up a half hour early because I can't make it there at 8. I got to go to work at 8. Can you open at 7:30 so I can come in?"
mm.
I don't know any doctor that I can say that to. You know what I mean? I don't know any doctor that I could say that to, right?
Mm, mm, mm,
So this is what happened.
mm.
She actually opened her doors early,
That
but
was
was 5 minutes late. Was 5 minutes late, which was really early.
okay. Yeah. Well, okay.
And she said this black woman cursed her out like she was the devil
Mm,
and treated her like trash, blah, 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 blah. And then went out and trashed her to other black people. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, man, you would never, ever, ever, ever treat a white doctor like that. You wouldn't. You wouldn't even ask them to open their doors early. So we
mm,
have to respect ourselves more, man. You know what I'm saying? Like we do. We have to treat our business people like business people. You know how many people I do business with that are black, that I cut my rate, that I cut deals with, that I give a break, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying, bro? It's because they're black. You know what I'm saying? But and it's because I know you might not have as much money as someone else. Blah blah blah.
mm.
But what does that bring me? Less money. It brings me less value. You know what I'm saying? It degrades my what I charge on the market. You know what I'm saying? So if I could have deal with you, you done told to 5, 10 people.
Yeah, this is my price.
Right. But anyway, man, I ain't trying to, like black people have got to do the self work,
Mhm,
period.
mhm,
We don't have to agree. We've got to stop selling out. We've got to stop, you know, giving in to white supremacy in its many forms and iterations. We have to stop doing it. It doesn't mean you can't do business. It doesn't mean all types of stuff. It just means uplift your own the same way you uplift the others. Because they got us on a pedestal, they just won't tell us that.
mhm.
There's no complex
It should be
without people.
obvious. It should
Huh?
it should be obvious because these things don't move. These things don't move without us. You get what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like the
Nothing.
NFL, the NFL, the same company that kicked out Colin Kaepernick. You can't watch an NFL game without a hip hop song playing.
I know.
You-
I mean, it's crazy, bro. And one thing I hated about Kaepernick was that, you know, he should have took that energy and just started a league. And that's a big lift, right? That's crazy heavy lift,
yeah.
but it's something that he could have aspired to. Now, what is the result of that? It's, I don't know, man. New levels, new devils. It may have been, a harder thing to do, but that's what I would have thought. That's what I would have. Yeah,
I
oh,
mean,
y'all gonna kick me out? Okay, boom. Watch this.
yeah. That's the thing. So maybe he joins. The Rock now owns the XFL, so maybe that's a thing. But I mean,
Yeah,
like
but
football is like
oh,
more common because it's so many players on a roster. That's why
shit.
other like rosters don't. I mean, that's why other leagues don't compete with the NFL. I mean, it's not like Ice Cube with the big three. You understand? Like basketball, you could just half court it. It's a different product than NBA. Yeah, football. And then it's like so much insurance that goes with it. CTE.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I get it, man. I'm
yeah,
not. I'm not trying to oversimplify it. I mean, the big three is genius to me. I mean,
yeah,
I really think it is. It's straight genius. It's just. It's just that at the end of the day, we all have somebody to answer to.
mhm,
Most of us
yeah.
have someone now. If you go that high with it, you have someone to answer to.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. So it's no easy solutions, but we need a code. We need a unified agenda, not just Ice Cube's contract, but it needs to be vetted. It needs to be finalized, not in the public necessarily, but by the leaders. There are a lot of Black leaders, and just because you don't see them on CNN or MSNBC, it doesn't mean they don't exist.
Mhm.
There are great thinkers, bro. And these great thinkers don't necessarily have to come through traditional institutions, but they have to be taken seriously. And it's not anything emotional about it. It's not because we love the song. It's not because we loved a march, even. Like it's literally about putting in the work and then taking that to the people. Um, and then even letting the people have some say so. But you don't just drop that. You know what I mean? So not again, not to go back to that, but just to say that we had African principles say we do it as a tribe, we do it as a collective.
Mhm.
We do it together. It ain't just one man. It ain't just one person or one or two people, because there's not one or two people that know what's right for all of Black America in 2020.
Yeah. But that's the thing. People are thinking we're one big person,
We're
and
not.
yeah,
We're not. We're
yeah,
not. I mean, and even conservative Black people have a space here. Now, if they're against the collective, so be it. You know.
that that's tricky for me too. I respect. I do believe most Black people, like, or at least a lot of older Black people are conservative. They vote Democrat, but they're very conservative in their thinking and in their
Mhm.
ideals. Like the Nation of Islam is extremely conservative. You get what I'm saying? But it's like most of the conservatives that are put out on Front Street are have the agenda are strictly are completely against Black people. So you'll never know. You'll never. So you have to vote. You have to
Yeah.
vote politically liberal as a Black person because it seems like being politically conservative is just against your race, just completely against your race. So
Yeah, man. I mean, I just go with what's best for Black people.
definitely
That's where I go. Yeah.
appreciate that. Yo, man, Chuck, let people know how they can reach you, man.
Yeah, you can reach me at Chuck Creekmur, Chuck and Creekmur at all various things and stuff. I'm everywhere, man. Trying to be even more places next year. You know, that's it, man. Man, this was a good conversation, bro. I just wish, but man, we got to be aware of the devil, and the devil is lurking on social media, and it's really serious, spreading lots of misinformation, oversimplifying things, and making dumb things seem smart. You know, I wrote about this years ago, man. Social media is kind of evil, bro. I'm really looking to get off it. Maybe I don't know. I probably can't get off it, but it's too much crazy stuff going on there.
Mm,
Yeah.
I'm trying to navigate too. I'm trying to be like just a free thinker and start thinking for myself. You get what I'm saying? And I think a lot of a lot of the things that have been opening my eyes honestly has been reading.
Mm-hmm.
And like you never I like you it's a so cliche, but you'll never understand it until you actually do it. Um I think I gotta start reading like I gotta take a break from like all these like black power empowerment books for a little bit because it's making me like a real angry person. Like I've read Wretched of the Earth and I was
Mm-hmm.
pissed off for like 6 months. Like 6 months straight. So like
Oh,
yeah, so I
that's
think I'm
dope,
gonna start reading about money and stuff like that, like financial books for a little bit.
man. You saw my place, boy. I got every book. I got books. I got books, bro. I got so many books. I don't buy no more books, man. Bro, I could keep going for
You
days.
got a lot very
Yo, man, I got everything in this joint, man. So, reading is everything, man.
That's a
Everything. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, it makes you more politically and critically like just aware of things. So that's
Man, I
why I
got
want to. That's why I like having these type of conversations because it's thing. It's sort of the same thing. It's sort of the same therapy and things like that. I think even like if I get one or two views on this, I think me personally, I'm better for this conversation. Just for having it. So I appreciate you taking out your time to talk to me, man.
no problem, man. I appreciate you, brother. Everything that you do.
Thank you so much, bro. So if anything, I'm gonna holler at you. I gotta text you regardless anyway. So appreciate you again, Chuck.